additional text which is fed off of the user record, which says that this is an inbound user from Facebook. So in your application code, in your book review site, you might want to, if you do wish to, you could conditionally program or code different content based on this information, the fact that it's a person coming in from Facebook. And of course the content here is pretty much static. There's no change here in this demo site, but one could have variable content based on those headers. What else do? Well, I do.
Now, if the user,
go ahead, please.
The user went to Facebook first and then came to the site. Does the web agent have a little bit of code there that recognizes the Facebook token, and then we'll attempt to verify it?
Yes, there is. Well, so this is the way it works, right? Which is, let's say a user goes to Facebook, right? Before I actually show you what the true interaction is, right? Let's say I go to Facebook. On the same web browser, I go to my site, right? At that point, but at that point, there is no reason for our site to go out and fetch Facebook token, because we are not requesting, and we're not specifying that the user be authenticated as this identity in Facebook, right? It's a different cookie domain and all those technical details. But what will happen is, if you went there to Facebook, logged in, and then you went to your site, you will be presented a login page because you are completely unidentified. Rather than log in at that point, you simply clicked on that Facebook icon. You would go out to Facebook, be authenticated, and you would come back in without even having to re-enter it. So let me show you that. So I'm going into Facebook. I'm going to go log in as this person. By the way, if we were to, before we jump into that, Joe, that thread, I just want to show you the second time interaction. The very first time interaction, we did have a request for author permission, but a subsequent login, as below, would not. You would not see the request for access. You simply go past and you're in SiteMinder. Okay, now I minimize that window. I'm here in Facebook. Login. So I'm logged in now, and what I'm doing is I'm simply going over to the book review site. Hold on a second. Actually, reuse this window.
Yeah, if you're still at the old
yeah, yeah, you're right.
I have a SiteMinder session.
That's
right. If you generated a SiteMinder session in this case, I'm assuming that you do if you're logging in. So.
Yep. Well, let me do it again, right? So we do generate SiteMinder session, right? But as this user at yahoo.com or whatever the user ID is, and that's the other. Let me go to facebook.com. Yeah, there you go. You see the login page, and this is what you do see, because our application does not by default go there. However, when you see this, if you simply click on this link there, you actually request Facebook to generate a token and then come back, and now you're logged in without having to specifically log in into the site again. So you perform that click, right? The reason you perform that click is also the fact that you may not have authorized authorized that particular application a permission to access your profile. So you do need to do that, right? Okay. So that's two interactions. You're right. One is you are in Facebook, and another is you go through the login page. What's of interest to technical folks, I would say, would be a quick view of the headers, right? to see that we are truly authenticating as that person at yahoo.com. So the auth user is that, but more importantly, let's look at SM user. See, the SM user is this person. We're not sticking a header in there called SM user by of this email address. This is of importance because subsequent to authenticating or authenticating to Facebook and generating this one-time header, we would not be able to maintain the fact that this is this person at yahoo.com had we not done that. If it was simply a response that we were taking, subsequent realm transactions or transfers would not carry that forward. However, we are actually performing a re-authentication under the covers. This is all happening in that step number 5, which guarantees that this person is logged in truly as as this email address at yahoo.com. Okay. The other thing that I would like to show you at this point is a description of the package of the binaries. Right? How does it look like when you open up the binaries inside the product? I mean, you actually unzip the zip file. Well, here it is. Let me expand this out. So this is the root FB SMSSO. We have an LDIF directory in which we have the instructions to create a person within the user directory, so we have one user record to link up to. So all users that come in from Facebook are linked up to this one user record, so we have a linked up record. Okay.
Okay, so there's like it's basically just one user for Facebook. For all Facebook, is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Or do you create one separate one?
No, it's one user which holds all the which is like a impersonation, which allows you to, it's one ID for all the users. So let's say we have 25 million customers coming in. We don't create 25 million records. We use one record, and that allows us to establish an identity with which to authenticate, right? Within our user directory. Okay.
We looked at different proposed solutions and stuff, and some different customers, some might want a user created and others don't. I don't want to keep track of all the different Facebook users.
Yep. So we actually. Yep. That's a very interesting feedback. That's something that would drive the direction in which we go with this solution. The way the solution is currently structured, you're right. There might be customers who may want to do it for various reasons, as to have independent records for users. But what we've done is we have actually created that record with a multi-valued attribute, which is again specifiable within the details of it, which captures every user who has authenticated into SiteMinder from Facebook. So right now it's department number. I've logged in as my Gmail account and then this Yahoo account. Every time I authenticated someone from Facebook, I add another entry into this record, into this attribute, and which provides auditing of who has logged in from Facebook. So this provides that auditability that you're talking about, Joe. The next thing, and that's what this LD file is for, creating that entry. The next item is within the distribution under the binary jars. We have the jar files, the Java libraries that are required for it to run. Under config, the changes that are the additions we need to make to JVM options, so our libraries are referenced. Under properties, so we have a custom logging as in a log file we write into, so that we can keep track of authentications coming in, and that's controlled in the log4j. And then there is a smdiff file, which is the policy import It's an export file which we use to import, so that you get a kickstart. You don't have to manually enter in all those values. You simply have everything imported and then adjust it for your environment. It makes it quite easy to get have an implementation going. Then we have JSPs for if you're using a Java server or application server. For some of the interactions, we simply have a few JSPs. On the other hand, if you're using ASPs, you would use ASP folder. And in FCCs and unauth files, very standard to SiteMinder, we use two FCC files. This one is there as a sample that allow for us to perform this choreographed interaction. And that's the description of the package itself. And I want to spend another 5 minutes, if that, to describe to you the policy structure itself. So I'm going to share the SiteMinder administration applet and show you some of the entries that we created, right? So there's Facebook SiteMinder authentication, and there's Facebook email authentication. There are two authentications, custom authentication schemes that run, one for validation of the fact that the user really has an access code, a request code from, or an OAuth code from Facebook, which we feed back to fetch an access token. The second, to actually perform an authentication, a login operation as the user at yahoo.com or at gmail.com, or whatever the user's email address is. So this performs a relogin. The first one performs a validation. In the domains tab, we create a separate policy domain so it does not interfere with anything that you may have. One could conceivably roll this up into your application domain as well if needed. By the way,